I'm Kelly Jennings, CEO of Powerband Solutions. Powerband is a cloud-based provider of auction, inventory, and finance solutions that make buying, selling, and financing vehicles more efficient. Powerband Solutions trades on the TSX Venture Exchange symbol PBX and on the OTCQB symbol PWWPF and on Frankfurt symbol 1ZV. For more information, please visit us at powerbandsolutions.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Lobo Tiggre from the IndependentSpeculator.com. He's speaking to us from Puerto Rico. Welcome back to the show, Lobo.
Happy to be here, Jim.
The escalating trade war between China and the U.S., another $16 billion in tariffs between the two nations kicked in today, but there are low-level talks, and is that a good sign?
Well, as we were just discussing off mic, you have to start somewhere, and it's often the lower-level types who actually put the words into the agreements, that write the bills or draft the treaties and so on. So it's not entirely crazy for people to say, hey, this is significant and be upbeat. On the other hand, talk is talk. And the degree to which the markets responded positively, the broader markets, the equity markets globally responded positively to this news was really striking to me because, you know, it's talk and we're dealing with, on one side, a very strong-willed individual who doesn't seem at all interested in compromise. And on the other side, an entire culture that's built on faith and the importance of not losing it. So I don't think it's criminal to, you know, have hope, but I think it's a little premature and perhaps a bit naive to actually spend more on assets based on that hope at this time.
My correspondent in Japan, James Corbett, has said the markets there have been optimistic because of these low-level talks, perhaps because they have no other choice.
No, there's always a choice. I mean, that's a clever thing to say, and it's another kind of argument for contrarianism, right? You know, things are oversold; they're way cheap. You know, there's more upside than downside. So, as a very broad general rule, that's true. But just because something is off 90% doesn't mean it can't, you know, go down another 90% and be down 99% from the beginning. We've seen that happen.
The Chinese currency has dropped about 8% since the start of the year. Is that enough to absorb the shock of the tariffs?
I'm not going to claim to have done that math, so I can't really say. I think it's interesting, though, that seems to have generated this claim of currency manipulation. And it's like it doesn't matter what any side does, the other side has an explanation for it that makes it look bad. And without taking sides, I just think that anybody from any side can look at this and say, this is really not good. This is very, very dangerous, and it's harmful, I think, to all sides. So hopefully this is all the art of the deal, and hopefully it'll all work out. But as a rational speculator, not a gambler, I don't want to move large sums of money around just on a hope. I want to wait until I see a trend in motion. I want to see these problems being resolved, and that's when I'll be optimistic, and that's when I'll start investing accordingly.
A disaster planner told me hope is not a plan.
That's right. That's an excellent way of putting it.
For people who want a safer haven, is there any area that's been doing well?
Well, I love that question, Jim, because everybody's sort of morose these days, it seems, as far as resource investors, all the problems. Everything is down, it seems. But there is one metal that is not down. It's having a great year, in fact, and that's uranium. And the sort of beauty of that situation is that uranium has had two sort of hopeful rallies since the bottom in early 2016, since the latest price bottom, of course. And so I think there are a lot of people sort of twice bitten, thrice shy here. They see the rally, but they're not really willing to believe that this is it. This time we're really off to the races. And I'm not here to say that that's absolutely the case. I will say, though, that we're seeing a series of higher highs and higher lows and particularly the higher lows, I think is very important. And that's what you want to see when a bottom is in and a market is starting to trend upwards again. I think it's also particularly interesting that over the last week, when a lot of other, not just resources, but assets all over the place were volatile, the trade war thing is back, the dollar is up, which is generally bad for commodities, all these things happening, and uranium did not drop. It was the only one that really held on over the last week at a almost 2-year high. So I think, actually more than 2-year high. So I think that's all very bullish for uranium. Doesn't mean it can't go down, especially in the very nearest term. But I do strongly believe that uranium is in an uptrend, and that is my latest purchase was in the uranium space. I'm looking at that very closely. I have a short list. I am putting my money where my mouth is, and of course, if people want to know more about that, they can sign up at theindependenspeculator.com and find out what I'm doing. But whether they do that or not, if I can pass one thing along, I would say that I think it's great that there is an asset that's doing well, and an asset that resource investors know and understand, and not just on a technical level, such as I was describing with the higher lows, but the fundamentals. We've been saying that for years, and now what we have is the technicals and the fundamentals looking great. So I'm very bullish.
Is one of the reasons there's popularity for uranium more atomic power plants are going to be coming online in the near future?
Well, I think broadly, yes. And, Germany said they were going to shut down their nuclear power plants after Fukushima because they have so many tsunamis in Germany, right? And they're going to rely, on sunshine because it's such a sunny place, Germany. It's kind of silly. We all know that they import a great deal of nuclear-generated energy from France. But it looked good politically for them. But they're really small potatoes on the nuclear scale. I mean, compared to what China is doing, putting scores of them into, they're building them now, and they have plans for scores of them. So that's very significant. But I think the more interesting turning point and the part of the narrative that has really gripped everybody's attention is the secondary supply from Japan. You had all these nuclear power plants shut down, and utilities sitting on massive stockpiles that suddenly they might never use again, and with all kinds of costs of dealing with their situation. So of course they started selling this excess supply that they had. But now Japan is restarting. I think the current plan is 9 reactors, and it's supposed to go up to 30 reactors over the next 10 years. So suddenly, if you're a Japanese utility looking at the situation turning around there, where, Japan is an island and they don't have massive coal, and they wouldn't want to burn that anyway if they did. They don't have geothermal to power everything nice and clean. They really need the nuclear energy, and they realize that. So it seems to me that that's the key factor now, is there isn't really public data on this, but it does seem that the Japanese have turned the corner, that massive secondary supply is no longer hitting the market at prices way below cost of production. And interestingly enough, the spot price is still so low that there are producers out there that are buying uranium at current spot and then turning around and selling it to their customers as per the higher price of their long-term contracts. Because if they mined it themselves, they would deplete their assets at low prices, and they would take a loss doing it. Whereas if they just buy it on the market, they can still make money buying it and selling it to their customers. So it's kind of crazy, a world in which you have the producers are actually buyers of uranium under current circumstances. So I'm not sure that I would go so far as to say that all of the Japanese selling is done, but it looks like we've reached a point where there are producers that are taking up that excess supply, and more than taking it up, and we're seeing the prices go back up.
We'll have more with Lobo Tiggre right after the break.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Magnum Gold Corp. Inc., MGI on the TSX Venture Exchange. A 2015 drill program on the LH property intersected high-grade gold, including 16.9 meters of 13.58 grams and 11 meters of 20.66 grams per ton gold. A follow-up drill program is planned to further evaluate previously identified subsurface high-grade gold mineralization. Please visit our website at magnumgoldcorp.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Lobo Tiggre. Lobo, the Saudi government has said it's calling off the IPO for Aramco, their giant oil company, saying they're going to wait till more auspicious times to launch it. But are they getting any political backlash for being so harsh with Canada canceling diplomatic relations and so on, because Canada criticized their very poor human rights record and the fact that they're whipping a man accused of fighting for human rights, and now the Saudi government apparently wants to be able to execute people for criticizing their human rights record domestically.
Yes, I was reading a headline about a woman who's been a rights activist for women in Saudi Arabia, and they want to behead her. Obviously, an enlightened and forward-looking regime there. So, but you asked a sort of multi-tiered question here. Are they facing backlash? Yes, of course. Do they care? They're a kingdom, and they've got something the world needs. I don't know that they really care all that much. On the other hand, the trend, the sort of mega trend around the world towards the new energy paradigm, that affects everybody, and they can see the writing on the wall. And even the Saudis, right, the 800-pound gorilla of conventional oil, they're looking to diversify and to invest in the new energy paradigm. It's interesting. There's a sort of a belief permeating out there that the new lithium-ion batteries and the new solar technology and all these new energy paradigm technologies are going to put Exxon and Saudi Arabia and all these names that people love to hate out of business. But that's not necessarily the case. These are very large interests that have very large war chests, and they could easily rebrand themselves, and not just rebrand themselves, but go into new directions in energy. So it is not safe to assume that the big energy interests of the last century will cease to exist in the next one. Only the ones that don't adapt, the ones that insist on sticking with last century's business plan, they'll go the way of the dodo, but others will not. So I would certainly not count the Saudis out or down for the count. They have a lot of clout. They have bargaining power. And they have shown for a very long time that they can and will do whatever they want. So backlash, yes. Does it matter? Maybe to the people protesting, to the Saudis? I don't know. I think what's got to happen is internally driven change there. I don't see that coming from the outside. I see it being internally driven. And maybe with enough changing of the old guard, that might happen someday.
Well, of course, the Saudis are trying to diversify because they know oil is not going to be the hottest thing on the market eventually. But will people be scared to do business with them because you don't want to go visit for a business meeting and end up in jail and perhaps beheaded because you don't agree with them?
That works when there's substitution in the economic sense, right? That's what we were just talking about. They have, if not a stranglehold, they have a very powerful bargaining position in the current paradigm. And if they parlay that into the next paradigm, like if they get key patents on crucial technologies that are critical to the new systems going forward, I mean, we're only at the beginning of this. And who can say what the technologies and applications will look like 20 years from now or 50 years from now? So if they're shrewd, which they often are, about how they redeploy into the future, they could maintain that hegemony. Or not. They could lose it. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball sufficient to tell you how that's going to play out. But I would not assume that they will necessarily go away. I think there's a chance, and probably well deserved. But they're going to resist that with all the resources they have, which are considerable.
We'll have more with Lobo Tiggre right after this.
Arctic Star Exploration, operated by a team of proven mine finders, is focused on diamonds in Finland and the Northwest Territories of Canada. Work programs are underway in Finland and planned for Canada this summer. Arctic Star trades on the TSX Venture Exchange symbol ADD, on Frankfurt symbol 82A1, and the OTCQB symbol ASDZF. Please visit our website arcticstar.ca or call us at 604-689-1799.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're chatting with Lobo Tiggre. Lobo, the marijuana space, what's it doing, and are people excited that Canada's going to have legal marijuana October 17th?
That's a market I've stayed away from, Jim. I get it. I see it. Certainly, fortunes have been made, and probably fortunes will continue to be made. I'm not sure if we've talked about this before, but my general view there is that it's called weed for a reason, and it grows everywhere, or can grow everywhere. So when it's completely legal, it's hard for me to see at least people in the cultivation business holding on to margins. And I've been told that, well, there are premium brands, the sort of the Dom Perignon, if you will, of pot, can maintain margins where others won't. But you know, McDonald's sells a lot more food than the fanciest French restaurant in the world. It's a bigger business. So I'm not sure that the Dom Perignon of pot is a business model that's going to make investors a lot of money. So it's something that I sort of get the drifts of, but it's not something I'm intimately familiar with, and I don't feel confident enough to be able to pick out which are the ways of playing this trend. It's a huge trend. There's no question about the trend. The question is, how can I speculate profitably? And the honest answer is, I don't know. So I'm on the sidelines.
Is one of the reasons is that it's such a new, legit business that we really don't have any models to follow?
That's an excellent point. And even if you do have a model, what's the track record? How long is the track record? And, you know, what happens if it changes? The legislation is changing constantly in this space. As you're saying, you know, there's a big change coming to Canada in October. So what worked before and what was protected before might suddenly not be.
Junior gold miners, with the price of gold falling right now, are they going to be bargains for investors?
I think they are bargains. That's not really the question. The question is, will they go lower before they go up? And which ones will survive? Because there are some that won't. But as a broad statement, I would say that if I was very patient and very liquid, you know, had money that I didn't need now or next year or the next few years, and just, you know, sort of money that I could afford to put into something that's really cheap and has an excellent future and just wait to be right, I think there are bargains now. I'm not sure that I would worry very much about where the bottom is. Doesn't matter if it's in front or behind. If something is deeply undervalued now and they have the goods and all you have to do is wait to be right, I think there are opportunities like that in the market now. On the other hand, there are companies that are bucking the trend. There are some companies out there that are delivering such consistently excellent results that their stocks are up this year despite the underlying metals being down. And I have some of those in my portfolio at theindependentspeculator.com, of course. Happy to say. So if you're selective and bright, then you can pick some winners despite this. If you're patient and can wait to be right, then you don't worry about it. Cheap is cheap, and that's all you need to know. Other than that, then you probably want to wait. And, you know, I hate to say this because I am a metals bull in general and a precious metals bull very specifically, but in the nearest term, I don't see something that's going to stop the slide necessarily. Like whatever the conditions are that have been causing gold to drop this year, and it seems a little bit crazy. We have higher volatility in global markets, which normally should be good for safe haven assets like gold. That has not been the case this year. I have a theory about why, but it doesn't matter. You know, whatever that is, it's still there. Nothing has changed. The turmoil this week is very much like the turmoil last week. So looking at the fundamentals of the international markets, there's no reason to expect the slide to stop. On a technical basis, where we're at right now in the precious metals, there's no support here. Gold and silver could easily fall significantly more before they run into the next, so-called technical support level. So, in the nearest term, I think one should be very wary of imminent downside. It's a great time, by the way, for stink bids. If I'm right about that, and the precious metals do back off more, and I'm not predicting it. I'm saying there's a very real risk of that. So why not put some stink bids on the table? If there's companies you really like, you think they're cheap now, but there's a chance they might get even cheaper next week, put a stupid cheap bid on the table and leave it there. And who knows, you might get filled.
Lobo, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Happy to do it, Jim.
My guest has been Lobo Tiggre from the IndependentSpeculator.com. He was speaking to us from Puerto Rico. You're listening to HowStreet.com radio. Find us on Twitter at HowStreet. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Questions for the show can be sent to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.